AITA for giving gluten to my gluten-free mother without telling her. So my mother and I don't have a great relationship. I recently moved to a new place in a really nice area because I just got a really nice new job. Suddenly my mom really wants to come and visit and see me. I do my best to make up excuses, but she pushes so hard that eventually I cave. I've been cooking a lot since I got here because I have a nice big kitchen all to myself. Recently I started making Latino. I love it. Well, my mom and dad got here yesterday afternoon, evening and settle in, and we start talking about dinner. As usual, mom has to pick after looking at online menus for a couple hours to make sure they fit with her dietary requirements. She ends up picking a vegan restaurant that's across town, but she's just so tired from the drive up she can't fathom getting back in the car. So dad and I agree to go pick it up while she rests. Driving across my new city is a long process, which I told her ahead of time, and it's a little over an hour later when we get home with the vegan/gluten-free food she wanted. She's not vegan, but she is adamantly gluten-free and has been for a few years now. We get inside and as I am opening the food in the kitchen I notice the Pyrex Snapware container of Latino that was in my fridge is now empty in my sink. She even dumped out the sauce that I'd been soaking them in. I asked her if she'd eaten something out of my fridge while we were gone and she said that yes she had eaten some chicken because she was getting lightheaded from hunger, but it was terrible and she was so ready for some real food. Now this is where I might have been the asshole. Instead of telling her what she had actually eaten, I just rolled my eyes and dished up the food for everyone and we ate. She continued to remark about how bad and oily the chicken it was all night. I finally snapped when she brought it up again first thing this morning when I was picking them up from their hotel. My mom made a joke about not wanting me to cook them breakfast because she didn't want more oily chicken or something to that effect. I finally said, Mom, that was homemade Latino, and I don't understand why you ate all of it if you hated it so much. She asked me what Latino is and I explained that it's essentially 100% gluten. I watched as her face dropped, and sure enough within 30 minutes her stomach was killing her, and she was having difficulty breathing and needed to go to the emergency room. The whole time we were there she went on and on to the nurses and doctors about how I'd fed her gluten and not told her until it was too late for her to take her medicine and crying because now the whole trip was ruined. Mind you, this is the hospital where I work. My dad essentially told me to go home and think about my actions and give my mother some space, and now I'm just sitting here alone in my cool new place feeling like a dick and super anxious about what work is going to be like next week. Update. Just got home. So after everything went down this morning, I went back to the hospital to check on my parents. My mom was sleeping and still in the ED, and so I got to talk to my dad and the doctor a bit. My dad still thought I should apologize. I told him I would when she woke up. When I talked to the doctor a bit, I started asking about testing. I asked if they'd done a test for the specific kind of immunoglobulin present in celiacs when someone has gluten, and she said she actually hadn't needed to because apparently my mom had that test done in the past with her PCP. The doctor asked me if I worked in the medical field, and I told her that, yes, I worked in the lab. She then volunteered a bit more information than she probably should have, but I'm glad she did because I feel a bit better. She had managed to get my mom's lab results faxed over and looked them over. Apparently, my mom's tissue transglutaminase IgA levels were low enough to make it absolutely clear that my mother does not have celiac disease. The TTG test is typically used to screen for celiac disease, and elevated levels would indicate that the body is reacting to gluten. Since my mom's levels were low, there was no sign of celiac disease. The doctor had offered to refer her for a biopsy, which is the standard procedure for confirming celiac, but my mother declined. I later confirmed with my dad that it was because she didn't think it was worth going through the expense and pain of surgery just to confirm something she was already confident about. Furthermore, according to the nurse, my mother was given lorazepam, which he told me was for her stomach pain and nausea. He actually put this in air quotes with his fingers. In case you are not familiar with lorazepam, it is a benzo that is also used as an anti-anxiety sedative along with gastro symptoms. Apparently the medicine my mom was talking about was some kind of holistic thing. Cherry on top is that the nurse is Chinese and loves Latino, and I now have a new work friend. I thanked them for all their help, and they indicated that she was ready to be discharged. My dad was not inclined to wake her up, but I explained that there were other people waiting that needed to be seen, and they couldn't be seen if there were no open beds. I then asked the doctor if she could write my mom a script for more lorazepam, which she agreed to, which seemed to placate my dad. I wheeled my mom out to my car. She was high as hell and going on and on about how she couldn't believe that I'd poisoned her, and if I wasn't her daughter I'd be going to prison. I just apologized. Didn't offer any excuses. When I got them to their hotel and my mom was waiting on a couch in the lobby while my dad grabbed her bags from my car, I told my dad it was probably better if they just go home. I'm not going to lie, I got a little emotional. He agreed. So yeah. Based on the lab work and the way the ED staff were acting, I'm convinced my mom was faking for sympathy and attention. Not that it matters because my dad will always support her no matter what. I'm never having them over again. Second story. My dad's girlfriend is trying to get rid of me. My mom passed away 5 years ago and I 15F still think about her daily. When my dad had a severe depression, I was essentially left to take care of myself. My dad told me over the Christmas holidays that he had been seeing someone for a while. He seemed to be happier and I assume I was pleased for him. Though I didn't want him to be alone forever, I did feel as if my mother was disappearing entirely. He threw out all of the photos of her and refused to talk about her. He mentioned that his girlfriend will move in after spending Christmas with us. I wasn't happy at all. I've never even met her. But I didn't say anything. I met her on Christmas Day. Me and my dad usually put the star on the tree. We'd hang the star on the tree and watch The Grinch. It's our tradition, and we kept it even after my mother died. It is the only tradition from her time with us that we have kept. I was in the bathroom when his girlfriend came over and he put the star on with her. We also didn't watch The Grinch because she hates it. I know I sound spoiled and childish, but I was mad. We've been doing this all my life, and she just came in and ruined it. Throughout the night, she didn't even bother getting to know me. She was all over my dad and totally ignored me. When I told my dad how upset I was about our tradition, he told me that I needed to grow up and accept that things change. I didn't like her because she made me feel bad, so I never got close to her. She complained to my dad about it, and he was upset with me for not making her feel welcome. I felt bad because she made my dad very happy, so I tried to be more friendly with her. She treated me nicely in front of my dad, but when we were alone, she ignored me or spoke rudely to me. She even told me that I am a brat who makes my dad's life difficult. I told him, but he refused to believe me and yelled at me for trying to sabotage his relationship. He accused me of being selfish and wanting him to die alone and sad. I was shocked because none of this is true. My dad basically ignored me after that. I felt exactly like I did when my mother died, alone. One night I was unable to sleep and wanted to sneak in a midnight snack, so I stayed up really late. The girlfriend was in the kitchen using FaceTime, so I decided to be nosy and listen. She was talking about my dad and how much she loves him. She continued by saying that he had this dumb daughter and asked whether adoption would still be possible. Her and her friend laughed about it. She called me a little bitch and hated me. Her friend then mentioned boarding school or military school, but I left and didn't hear the rest. I fell asleep because I was exhausted from crying so much. I didn't tell my dad, and I'm not sure if I should because he's probably not going to believe me. I really miss my mother. Right now, I kind of want to move in with my mom's parents, my grandparents, but I don't want my dad to think I am abandoning him. Update. Since my last post, I've spoken with my grandparents and told them everything. When I asked if I could stay with them if I wanted, they agreed. I then spoke with my dad again, expressing how I felt and what I'd heard. I didn't want to film or record because I knew he'd be mad and refused to listen. He didn't believe me again and assumed I was jealous of having to share him with someone else. I became upset and informed him that I was leaving so he could live happily ever after without the burden of having me around. He appeared shocked but did not say anything. I'd already packed my bags and brought some stuff to my grandparents' house. For the rest of the day, I didn't see or hear from my dad. My grandfather picked me up and I've been there ever since. I haven't gone home and I haven't heard from my dad. My grandparents assured me that they would take care of my dad and that I did not have to. I'm disappointed that my dad hasn't checked on me via phone call or text message. At the same time, spending time with my grandparents is making me feel a lot better. My grandma is probably the happiest woman ever, and my granddad is a little rough around the edges, but he's so sweet. Update 2. My father came to see me at my grandparents' house to talk with me. He brought his girlfriend along. He said, "My girlfriend and I have been talking, and we have decided that it is best if you stay here." My father said I could come clean out my room and he'd help. He also stated that once I receive my stuff, we should take a break from each other and review things in a few months or whatever time it takes. His girlfriend then mentioned how she would take care of my dad for me. In a few days, I'll go over with my grandparents to get my belongings. We will also getting the important documents that some of you have mentioned. It doesn't seem like I'll be coming back home anytime soon. I guess I have a new home now. To be honest, I've been feeling really bad about some of the comments. Specifically, they claim that because I remind him of my mother, he is like that with me. He got rid of everything my mother owned, and I was the last piece of her, so it's understandable that he doesn't want me anymore. I really wish she was still around. I believe he wants to start over, and I was not part of that plan. So I guess that's it. Thank you for all your kind words.